Hit send.
Experience the new iPhone like T-Mobile Ultra Capacity 5G with speeds as fast as Wi-Fi in more places. Many people won't see it already did.
Tonight's telecast is sponsored by T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. And by New Balance, we got now. Both pitchers have been on through the first two. Third inning. Rolls in. Braves looking for their first base runner. Luis Garcia struck out 3. Albies, Darno, Swanson on a 3 in the lineup. Albies has got to be a little bit better. He's been in a funk swinging in the first pitch. Almost every at bat. You see the average is down. He's the spark. Just like Altuve is, he's a spark for the Atlanta Braves. That drops in for strike 1.
Amazing. Robbie Starbuck, appreciate it. Thank you for coming on tonight. We'll be following your race closely.
Thank you, Tucker.
So we're also hearing, and again, this is not confirmed, and no one's calling any races on this show, that's for sure, but we're hearing it could be a good night for all 3 statewide Republicans running in Virginia. And again, you just cannot overstate what a departure from the expected this is. Once again, Joe Biden just won this state by 10 points. It was considered a flat-out blue Democratic state. So the question is, why has this happened? Crime appears to be an issue. Most people kind of like their society. They don't want to see it disintegrate. Vince Colonnese has been covering this from across the river in Washington, D.C., where he's a leading radio show host. He joins us tonight with his analysis. Vince, thanks a lot for joining us. So crime is an issue in this race, is it not?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And what you're seeing is demoralized police departments at the hands of Democrats across the state, certainly in Northern Virginia. And that played a role here, as you saw police officers and sheriffs deciding to side with Glenn Youngkin because they believe, and the communities that they serve believe, that Youngkin and the Republicans that are at the top of the ticket in the statewide election are going to be protecting these communities. So like a lot of communities around...
Dude, looks like Youngkin's going to win.
You've seen more...
Looks like Youngkin's going to win Virginia.
And you see communities that were left less safe. And so now public safety...
Unless there's some shady shit tonight, midnight, you know.
What I think were a lot of voters showing up to
Fairfax County or something. This is crazy.
Years ago in the governor's race then, Democrats mocked the idea that there might be something wrong with MS-13.
Dude, I can't believe it. Biden just won this state by 10 points over Trump.
People don't really like MS-13 or other violent machete-wielding street gangs. They don't like crime. Why is this a tough lesson to learn?
I don't know.
I'm watching the series too, though.
The tough lesson is because they're so beholden to the donor class that they ignore the concerns of the voters broadly. That's it. And I think that really is the message of Terry McAuliffe's campaign. Every time he did something buffoonish, the answer was that he was serving some sort of moneyed interest and not the voters themselves. So as we look back at this race and we compare these two men, and then, of course, the other people who are down ticket, it's going to be a very straightforward comparison. Who listened to the voters? Who responded to their demands? Who sought to help heal the wounds that they've endured? And who sucked up to their donors? And the answer to that is really clear. Terry McAuliffe, at every step of this race, kept on putting his foot in his mouth on behalf of his donors, and you could see him lose as a result of that tonight.
So is there anybody outside of the teachers union?
Yeah, man. You know what? I'll tell you. I think he may have the best arm since Testaverde. He may have the best arm since Vinny. He's got a big arm.
I couldn't believe that Terry McAuliffe would do that.
That kid from Notre Dame, I guess the kid from New Canaan, that's at Notre Dame, I guess he's going to get a chance. Drew Payne, yeah. But you know what, too? I think there's a Hanratty on that team, too, from New Canaan. Terry Hanratty's, I think, grandson. I think that could be his grandson. Terry Hanratty lives in, Terry Hanratty lives in New Canaan. I think the kid was, didn't that kid Connor, wasn't he like a two-time All-Stater or something like that? Didn't he go to Notre Dame? I thought he went to Notre Dame.
On the 17th of September, and we didn't get that debate until the 29th where Terry McAuliffe said out loud that parents shouldn't be telling schools what they should teach, that's a sign that early voting should not be that long. After Terry McAuliffe said that, I guarantee you there are Democrats who regretted their vote in the Commonwealth.
I bet that's true. Gosh, Vince Collins, great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
So, somewhere at the beginning of COVID, Phil Murphy, who's a finance creep and governor of New Jersey, decided to crown himself king. He's now God of New Jersey. He's up for election.
And by the way, just so you know, Gullick Jr. never stuck in the NFL. Like he didn't even get drafted.
This guy, who's a part of the Democratic machine, might not.
I don't think Gullick. I don't think Gullick got drafted. Gullick Jr.
The Bill of Rights isn't really relevant to his job. The Bill of Rights, as you well know, protects Americans' right, enshrines their right to practice their religion as they see fit and to congregate together, to assemble peacefully. By what authority did you nullify the Bill of Rights in issuing this order? How do you have the power to do that?
That's above my pay grade, Tucker. So I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights when we did this.
I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights. No, he certainly wasn't. And Ian Smith can confirm that. He's a citizen, a taxpayer, he's a gym owner. And Phil Murphy, the finance thug, has been trying to crush him.
You go to Pittsburgh?
Of this pandemic. He joins us tonight on the eve of a potential humiliation of Phil Murphy that I know that you're praying for. Ian, thanks so much for coming on. So, every time
Already.
I'm gonna tell you something. If the Astros win tonight, they'll win the series. Hey, did you see what was going on Twitter today? Holy shit. People are so ridiculous. I mean, Trev, I never tweeted anything like that. Well, yeah, the Eagles are trading. I said the Eagles put him out there for trade bait. And people went like, oh, yeah, once again, you're dead. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I like Dusty Baker. Hey, man, so Springer, where's Springer now? The kid from Connecticut. Bobby V thinks he's the best Connecticut high school baseball player ever. That's saying a lot. There's been some great Connecticut baseball players. Bobby, one of them. Oh, he's in Toronto? Man, he's a great postseason player. Toronto's got some bats. That's a good baseball team, Toronto. They just need starting pitching, or maybe more so a bullpen. Yeah. That's the problem with the Padres. They don't have a bullpen. They got starters, but they don't have a bullpen. And if you're going to win a short series, you can't rely on starters that go through 160 some odd game season and then think they're going to be ready to rock in the postseason. That's why teams with these bullpens, dude, like the Rays and shit like that. I wanted to see Ozzie Guillen get that gig too. Bob Melvin's a good manager, though, dude. Bob Melvin can manage. He's a good manager. I like Bob. I think he was Oakland, right? That's right, Arizona. Man, they cut Jalen Smith again, huh? Wow. Jalen Smith just got cut again? Got released by the look at Virginia. Unbelievable. Murphy's going to kill it in New Jersey. He's going to. I think he waxes that guy. %64%, man. Stephen, you have to have great coaching. What we talked about earlier. Do you think that Stephen? I think it's both. I really do. I think it's great coaching and great players. Players benefit from great coaching. Look at Jordan. Jordan got Phil Jackson, got great coaching. I mean, he won championships. He had to convince Michael Jordan not to be a scoring champion. And when Jordan decided not to be a scoring champion, they got Scottie Pippen. They got lucky on Horace Grant. Then they were able to get Rodman and all those other components. That's all management, too. You can say whatever you want about Jerry Krause, but it all works together, man. Good management, good coaching, good players. You never seen great coaching and shitty players win a championship. Okay? I mean, it's a combination. It's team sports. That's why it's team sports. But it's also team sports with coaching. Yeah, and get this, Stephen. The triangle was not even a creation of Phil Jackson's. It was Tex Winter's. And for the record, the triangle was actually built and designed for a pivot man. What Tex did was he turned it upside down and created the triangle for the point guard. That thing initially is set up for a big center where the ball goes through him. Mike Massinelli just texted me. Let's see here. So did Youngkin win? I don't know, man. The kid Mac Jones is starting to play well under it, especially the last four. You don't think this guy Youngkin's going to win? You don't really think this guy Youngkin's going to win, do you? Yeah. You don't really think this guy Youngkin's going to win, do you? Yeah. Wow. I know. I saw that. Thank you for this week, Chris. What? A? Wow. Didn't Biden win that state by 10 points? That's crazy. That's a big deal, dude. I'm watching the World Series anyway. Oh, yeah, he's got this. 64% up by that many? That Fairfax thing concerns people, I would think, but oh yeah, with the tax bill, right? Yep. Yeah. It's funny, get this. We went up to like around like it was kind of Los Angeles, but on the way up, we were on the water near Pendleton. It's not that far away from us, right? You should see the cargo ships that are out in the ocean that are off the coast of California that are trying to get into the port of Los Angeles. And we usually only see like one. There was like 10 out there. It was like a backlog jam. There's no way Murphy gets knocked out of New Jersey. No way. No way. It could be closer than you think, but no way. Good evening, America. Dan Sileo, USA Radio. Hope all are having a spectacular night. Love to say that to you. Welcome aboard here, the happy hour of Sports Talk Radio /radio. I know it's election night. Can you believe this? A year from tonight, we're already at the midterms. That's crazy. Big election going on in Virginia. People keeping an eye on that. politics is like sports, isn't it? You know, you go back and forth. It's winner loser kind of thing. So I kind of have started to like it. You know, not the people in it, but I like politics. I do. Politics is in sports too. We saw it a little bit tonight with the college football rankings. Polls. They can deceive us, can't they? During the Donald Trump run for presidency in 2016, people had these so-called, expert polls out, and this guy never had a chance. Hillary was going to wipe the floor with him, and guy pulls off one of the greatest runs for the office of the White House since like Truman beat Dewey, right? Incredible. And you get these historic like things. You just can't really trust what polls say. You got to go out and get the pulse of America. College football it's a beauty pageant, kind of the same way like that. That's why I never really look at polls. I look at one thing. To me, that's the most important thing. And I wish people did this more when it came to picking between losers and winners and the right and wrong, great policies, bad policies. All you have to do is use your eyeball. Just use the eyeball test. I don't need a fancy poll to tell me who are the top 4 teams in the country. I've pretty much have seen them already. Tonight, the selection for the college football playoff, the first poll, it really doesn't matter. But again, I'm more on the philosophy of it. What are the 4 best teams that I've seen so far this year? Okay, easily. Georgia, Alabama, Oregon. Those are like the teams that I look at. Michigan State would be my 4 teams. The rest of them, they're kind of just good. I mean, Ohio State, I don't know if they're as good as they were a few years back, but to me, those are the 4 best teams. Maybe Oklahoma, somewhere in there, maybe. They can't play a lick of defense. They, quite frankly, struggled against Kansas. So I look at it like this. I don't know. 4 best teams. And you can put them in a hat. It's Georgia, Alabama, and then the other 2, really. Michigan State, and Ohio State. Those are kind of like, you could put those there. It's those 2 and then the other 2. It's really Georgia, Alabama. I just use my eyeball test. I also use common sense. Cincinnati, which has been the number 2 ranked team in the country, I have not ranked them number 2 because you can't beat stiffs and struggle against them. You just can't. And so to me, that's how I look at it. I look at it like this. I mean, okay, Cincinnati, they struggle against Memphis. They struggle against Navy. I look at it and I go, I don't know, man. These guys are not very good. Just because you beat Notre Dame doesn't mean you beat a powerful football team. You beat a powerful brand. That doesn't necessarily mean Notre Dame is good. And for the record, traditionally, Notre Dame is overrated. They're an overrated football program, and they have been for the last 35 years. Does this sound like I hate Notre Dame? It's not hating Notre Dame. Every time they get into a Final Four or they get into the semifinals of the college football playoff, they get destroyed because they don't have the personnel to compete against those Southeastern Conference teams, let alone the Big Ten teams. I mean, there's Cincinnati sounds like a great story, and it is a great story. Luke Finkle's a hell of a coach. Wouldn't shock me if he ends up getting the USC job. The athletic director who was at the University of Cincinnati is now currently the athletic director at Southern Cal. I think that's a marriage that would be awesome. Luke would do a great job at trying to keep the local talent in Los Angeles. I'm a big fan of that. So to me, again, this comes down to one thing here. Again, who do you like to play for the national title? Well, I like the 2 teams to play for the national title that are going to play for the SEC championship. Alabama, Georgia. They're basically going to play the national championship 3 times this year. Okay? They are pretty much going to play it. Now, maybe twice. The SEC title game and then the national championship game. They'll play it twice. Okay, is that good for football? It's not good for football because you know what's happened to college football now? It's become regionalized because the Premier League of college football resides in the southeastern part of the United States. You think anybody in the Midwest? You think anybody out west? You think anybody in the Northeast gives a rat's ass about what I'm talking about right now? Absolutely not. College football is a great game, and people love it. Do you see the stadiums packed in the Big Ten? Do you see the people that are packed in the northeastern part of the country now watching college football? But when you're constantly reeling out these teams from the southeastern part of the country and you see how dominant they are, once the bowl season comes, people tune it out, man. I do like this Michigan State story, though. I do. All right. Also, the World Series. And I got to say, you know, I've been telling you guys that I'm such a gigantic fan of Major League Baseball's World Series. Some of my greatest memories as a kid is watching this thing. Braves and the Astros trying to keep it alive for a Game 7. I think both these franchises, think about how they built themselves up. Do you know that the Astros lost 100 games 3 years in a row? 3 years in a row before they've gone on this current run of making it to the postseason, winning a series, getting back to a series, constantly being in contention for the American League pennant. They're always in the conversation. They have built such a great brand. And by the way, I know some of you are probably going to disagree with me when I say this to you. You know that cheating scandal is the greatest thing ever happened to baseball. Can I tell you why? It's the only thing keeping people engaged with it. People love villains. People love to root against something. What do you think? You think people loved the New England Patriots winning every year? It was voted the most hated franchise by NFL fans. Why do you think people rooted against Barry Bonds? All the steroid guys. Hell, the steroid era was one of the absolute greatest eras in baseball history. Check the turnstiles. Look at the TV ratings. Look at the advertisers. And then what did baseball do? They legislated that stuff out. Not because, look, you know, I've always told people this. Major League Baseball didn't get rid of steroids in the sport because it was healthier for the players. Why do you think people got rid of PEDs in baseball? Because owners didn't want to pay for guys hitting 50 home runs that 3 years earlier were hitting 18. And you're paying a guy $20 million. This came down to the economics. Do you know what the highest paid position was during the steroid era? The DH. You couldn't name me a DH right now that makes big, significant money. They have absolutely whittled down that position. They don't want to pay $25 million for a Jim Tomei. They don't want to do something like that. Why would they? So what you did was you saw these numbers going up, integrity of the game. Kiss my ass. That's not why they did it. They did it because they wanted to save money. Just the same way as Bonds and Clemens took PEDs when they were older. Think of this for a minute. And again, this is why I love this Astros team too. I really do. But think about this for a second. So Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, especially Clemens, from the time Roger Clemens was 37 until the time he retired, do you know he made over $370 million? And most of the time he only had to pitch at home. Bonds and Clemens made the majority of their money past the age of 37. Now I ask you, both those men made over $250 million. Who gives a crap about the Hall of Fame? If you don't know Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds were Hall of Famers, then you're not really a baseball person. Because you're not a doctor. There was no test, hell, even for amphetamines in the sport. My point is that people were engaged watching these guys perform. Is he juicing? Is he not juicing? The best time for the Tour de France in the history of the Tour de France is when Lance Armstrong was in it. Is he doing it? Is he not doing it? Is he doping? People love villains, man. They watch it for that reason. That's one of the things that, like, baseball storyline this year. Shohei Ohtani, great stuff. But now with this World Series, you know how many people are rooting against the Astros tonight? Not me, man. I want to see a Game 7. There is nothing like a World Series Game 7. You know, of all the sports, baseball has probably the greatest and most significant moments in American sports history. Robinson breaking the color line, Henry Aaron's home run. You know what I mean? Where were you when you watched a no-hitter or a perfect game? When you watched Koufax shut down the Cubs? You ever watch it on YouTube? It's amazing what he did at Chavez Ravine. Baseball has had so many great moments. Bumgarner in the postseason, failures of Kershaw, Reggie in the postseason. Jesus criminy. That's one of my most significant memories as a sports fan, is watching Jackson in that Game 6 hit those 3 bombs. And people forget previously he had hit a home run in Game 5 at Dodger Stadium. This guy was insane that series. He just was insane. And you're watching a guy just, I think he hit like 386 or something with all those home runs too. It was just really great. There is nothing like Major League Baseball. So I completely dig it, man. And I'm glad to see that baseball has a villain in it. And they need more of this. They need more promoting of it. Now, you know, somebody asked me something the other day. Would baseball benefit from a clock? Chris and I were talking about that the other night. They tried, you know, doing some of that stuff and experimenting with some of it on the minor league system, but it never really went over well because baseball is not one of those type of games. Baseball's got the patience of golf because it's such a tough sport. You know, I told you this before. One of the things that makes baseball so unbelievably great, the greatest hitter in the history of the game, average-wise, he only succeeded 36% of the time at the plate. It shows you the difficulty of playing that sport and how incredibly difficult it is. That's what makes that game the most difficult Hall of Fame and game to play and make. So anytime you get a series, I mean, these things have spanned just generations. So love that baseball and football and all of this is going on all at the same time. By the way, trading deadline in the NFL, traditionally, this is nothing big. This is nothing big. But because the NFL grabs the headlines, it was kind of significant today. I'll explain to you. We'll do it next. You keep it here on the Dan Sileo Show. No, you know what he did? He, by not having to deal with the Trump stuff, what he did was he did not have him campaign for him. And that might be the blueprint going forward. You want to keep the Trump people at bay. Don't bring Trump in. And that they'll still vote for you because he figured it out, dude. They're still going to vote for him anyway. Why have all the bullshit with Trump coming into the state and creating a mess? It's actually brilliant. Trump's not going to like that because then he'll feel he's being used and da-da-da-da. But at the end of the day, it's not about you. Either. He's not gonna run for president. No way. Well, you see, we don't have debates though. Okay, that shit don't happen, guy. Okay, that's not working for me. And plus, it's a rigged election and everything, and you don't want anything to do with it. Oh. Oh my God, are you kidding me, man? Oh my God. Yeah, no. Kong Dean was the sellout, though. No. Kong Liddy was not the guy. No. He was more my boy. Kong Colson was a piece of shit, though. I'll just tell you that. I think he just died, Charles Colson. Oh, yeah, that piece of shit Warren Butterfield, too. Kiss my ass. Shut up. Don't ever talk to me like that. Don't ever talk to me like that, donkey. You heard me right, jackass. Wow. Told you, man. Ever since that dude took a knee, man, you're different. Who took a knee? Your boss took a knee. See? You're different. Be probably dressed as Bozo the Clown. Wow. You're sick and disgusting. There's something wrong with you. Hey, what? No, I'm not. Lightning bolts hit your ass. It's all good. That's okay. You're a sinner. You're an Irishman. Yeah, don't worry about it, kid. I need some French fries. You know what to do. He's in Hoboken. I'm not, man. He's buried in Hoboken, Sinatra. Yes, he is. He's buried in Hoboken, where he's from. Don't talk to me like that ever. Don't shush me, man. I swear to God, I'll put my Sharpie in your face. Hey. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. By the way, you know, I have my social media platforms on. People must think Chris and I are just ridiculous. Twitch, YouTube, my Facebook page too. We thank you. All in good fun, man. We have a lot of fun. It's like a locker room. It's kind of like, maybe that's what the name of my show should be. Sileo's Locker Room. My friend had a show called Pharrell on the Bench. God, I love that thing. That thing was so good a show. Scott used to play music underneath. Everybody, oh, hey. Pharrell, oh, he's hilarious, man. My wife hated that voice, though, by the way. She hated the voice. Loved the guy. She goes, what's he do that? I'm like, it's you got to be unique in this thing. You just can't sound like every other jerk that's in this business. Everyone bitching at something or everyone congratulating someone. You know, I mean, you can't sound like the same guy that's white noise after a while. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Is that racist? Just checking. Anyway. Oh, yeah. And I took over for Scott when he was at KMBR. I started doing Sports Phone 68. By the way, that's one of the reasons I'm rooting for Dusty Baker, because I used to do the postgame show for the San Francisco Giants. It was kind of built into Sports Phone 68, so I'd get Dusty on. He was such a great interview. He really was, man. What a good baseball guy. He loved San Francisco, and San Francisco loved Dusty Baker. Here's always been the problem that I've had with Dusty, and I tell you, it's not something that I hammer because I really like the dude. But Dusty and that pitching stuff, he's got the quickest hook since Sparky Anderson. He's like that. The only difference is that Sparky Anderson, though, had that big red machine behind him. You know, I mean, look, it's one thing to have Bonds behind you and Jeff Kent and some of them dudes, but that team was good 1 through 9 behind the dish. You know what I'm saying? They were good everywhere. Their ninth hitter hit 300. That's a true story. That big red machine, one year, I think they had Geronimo. I think he hit last in that lineup. And I think he hit 300 one year. There wasn't a guy in that big red machine lineup that couldn't knock the cover off the ball. They were all great, man. Oh, but Sparky, him dealing with Zachary and all these other guys, Don Gullett. I mean, he would yank these guys out so fast. Had a good bullpen back in the day too. I think Carbone was on that, or Barbone was on that team, and I think he was one of the relievers on that big red machine. But Sparky, man, this guy would just pull guys left and right, and kind of you see the same thing with Dusty a little bit. So we'll see how this whole thing plays itself out. But again, World Series, Atlanta can close it out and win a World Series over the Astros. That would tell you a lot about small market baseball teams. Not that Atlanta is a super small market or Houston, but this isn't Los Angeles, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York. Here, this shows you that if you do it right, because Atlanta doesn't spend a lot of money. Look at their everyday lineup. They've got such a great organization. John Sherholtz put down the best blueprint that you could possibly put down when it comes to how you should build an organization. The difference between them and the Padres on why the Atlanta Braves are further along than what the Padres were. Look, in 2014, both these teams were picking 1 and 2 in the draft. And here's Atlanta in the World Series. And the Padres are still trying to fight it out. They scrapped the program where it was building their minor league system. And then you know what? They went out in free agent. They completely changed course. Atlanta never changes course. They never change course, and they're always built on starting pitching. They're always built on starting pitching. I mean, ever since that Sherholtz group went in there and put the cement down, they've always been the same. We will take a look at week 9 of the NFL. Some great games coming up. And my top 5 teams in the NFL. We'll do it next. Anger. No. Why don't you throw the phone under the bed? I'd love to hear it. Wow. You're a weirdo. There's something seriously wrong with you. No, hey. See, I think this is going to come down to really, really tightness here. Oh, you bet. Fairfax. How much of it is in? You think this critical race theory had a lot to do with it? Okay. Because that wouldn't flip me. I mean, maybe it's a combination, Chris, of everything. Ugh. Boy, he's really Mike. The My Pillow guy's just totally gone off the cliff, man. He's selling his pillow now for like $19 or something. Well, that company's in shambles now. Tucker Carlson won't even put it on his show. Well, okay, well then Fox is not putting it on. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He clearly has distanced himself from Trump. And you know how he did that? By just not having him campaign for him, and he kept the vote. That's gonna be the blueprint, Chris. I do too. I think DeSantis will be in 2024 too. I think he's the guy that's going to run. Long as he doesn't trip up over himself. See, the Democrats, no, he's not. How about Michelle Obama? I'm talking about somebody who could win. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network, welcome aboard with us. By the way, we appreciate you jumping aboard also on our social media platforms. Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And by the way, if you want to follow me on my Facebook, you can. If you want to follow me on my Twitter, that's at Dan Sileo Show. I'm going to get to the week 9 of the NFL. Man, it's been wonderful this year. The football has been spectacular. You know why it's been spectacular? I can't figure it out. One team's here, one team's there. One week you're looking at this team. The next week you're projecting another team. Injuries are now playing a factor in how we're evaluating some of these ball clubs. You know, before I get to the games, I want to give you my 5 teams that today, on November 2nd, I think are the 5 teams that I would have. But I'm going to tell you, like I just said, injuries, performance can all play a factor. And this December 2nd, I could probably have a whole entirely different 5. That's how crazy it's been this year in the NFL. At 5, I got the Bucs. Now, here, watch this. On any given Sunday, when healthy with Gronk and everybody coming back, Buccaneers are the team. I think the Buccaneers are the team. You put them on a neutral site, like I said, I think, you know, there's not a team. There's going to be something significant about what I'm saying here, too. Number 4, I got the Rams. How about Matthew Stafford? Look what good coaching could do to you. Look what a great organization could do around you. This guy spent over a decade in Detroit with nothing but bad management and bad decisions. Now, all of a sudden, he's on one of the best teams in the NFL with one of the best records in the NFL and one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford has always been good. Isn't it crazy how you perceive people differently in different cities? You know, I've said this before to you. Speaking of baseball, look at how do people perceive Tony Gwynn? When you think of Tony Gwynn, the baseball player, what do you think of Tony Gwynn? Decent hitter, Hall of Fame hitter. If you don't really know anything about the achievements of Tony Gwynn, And because he played in a smaller market, you probably don't. Do you know only Ty Cobb has won as many batting titles as him? If Tony Gwynn were in New York, Tony Gwynn would be revered as the modern day Ty Cobb. But because he played in San Diego, people look at him like, well, oh, he was that good? Yeah, he was that good. Gwynn has many batting titles as Ty Cobb. Only him and Cobb, I think it's 9. Crazy. Highest batting average since World War II, career batting average, is Tony Gwynn. So you're talking clearly about one of the greatest hitters of all time. But he played in San Diego, and perception as well. He's a San Diego Padre, but he was that good? Wow. Same thing with Matthew Stafford. Stafford in Detroit, did you not know he was this guy? Matthew Stafford wins the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford is probably going to the Hall of Fame. This guy only needs to put a signature moment on his tremendous resume. He's thrown for a boatload of yards. And isn't it crazy? When he was in the Southeastern Conference at Georgia, everybody always was under the assumption that Tim Tebow was the better quarterback. Tebow was the quarterback at Florida when he was the quarterback at Georgia. And everyone was always like, man, Tebow, it was never really him. Matthew Stafford was the better player. And that was always, he was the better player. Number 3, a little bit kind of suspect on this one. I got the Cardinals there. Cardinals have had a tremendous season. They lose one game to Green Bay. It could have went either way, the interception towards the back of the end zone here. We could be talking about a whole different conversation here. Cardinals have never been there, never been in this moment. I don't know how they'll react as they get closer to the playoffs and as they get into playoff situations. You just don't know because there's no postseason experience really here on this team. That leads me to the Cowboys. I get the Cowboys at number 2. The Cowboys use Cooper Rush to win a ball game. And I thought for sure Minnesota was going to win that game. And the Cowboys manned up, man. I said it last night. So the Cowboys have to get credit for coaching this. And also finding this guy, putting him on their team, developing him. I had no idea where he was from. I had to look it up. I never heard of the guy. Eastern Michigan? I had never heard of him, Cooper Rush. Now, those are 320 yards. Somewhat like this. Well, he wasn't all that great. I don't care what you think. He won the ball game. He threw for over 300 yards, and he let Dak have another day of rest. I don't need Dak in November. I need Dak in December and January and February, hopefully. That's when I need him. I got the Cowboys number 2, and they're holding steady there. They've been one of the best performers, okay, in the first half of the season. I got the Packers number 1. So much for Aaron Rodgers and the offseason noise. Let me throw this at you here. All that bitching and whining that Aaron Rodgers did in the offseason? Who cares now? He's 7-1. He's got a football team that could potentially win the Super Bowl finally for him and give him another one. And that would be one up on Favre. And then you start talking about this. Wow, man. What a resume. His passing numbers are insane great. The number 1 quarterback rating, the number 1 completion percentage, the number 1 touchdown to interception ratio. He's freaking off the charts. And now he's got another great team. And as I've told you guys, one of the most incredible things, this guy's won 33 of 40 ball games. He's won 33 of the last 40 NFL games that he has played in. Man, is that great. And I'm talking regular season. That's insane great. Insane great. So there's your 5. Bucks, Rams, Cardinals, Cowboys, and Packers. I think there's going to be really some pretty good ball games, too, coming up. That's going to start shaping the way I think the postseason is going to start shaping up. Thursday night, it's not a great game at all. But how about Mike White? This guy, Mike White, in the last game, their number 2 draft choice, or the second pick in the NFL draft, Zach Wilson goes down. This guy, Mike White, steps in. and he throws for 400 yards and the Jets win. I'm like, holy crap, that's incredible. It just shows you there's a lot of good football players that are backups in this league. And then you got Carson Wentz. Let me say this to you about Carson Wentz. You know who's got the highest quarterback rating over the last 4 ball games? It's Carson. You know who Wentz is? Wentz is the modern-day Tony Romo. Man, there are so many things that Carson does well. But when he flips up and he messes up, it is monumental. The game last week against the Titans, those 2 interceptions, holy cow, erased all the goodwill in the locker room. All the goodwill that he had put together with 2 critical interceptions that cost him the game. You know, Frank tried to take ownership of it by saying they were poorly called plays and poorly designed plays. But come on, man. You can't throw a left-handed pass when you're in the back of your end zone. Terrible. Cleveland and Cincinnati, this is going to be a hell of a football game. Cleveland is reeling because their quarterback can't win games. Baker Mayfield has got 2 injured running backs, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. And both those guys are hurt. And the number 1 pick in the NFL can't deliver a win. He's not capable. That's why Cleveland in the offseason will be looking for a new signal caller. Joe Burrow, they're 5-3 now, I think. I think Cincinnati is a good football team. But Cincinnati has got to. They have got to right the ship, especially in the running game. That's going to be an interesting ball game. How about Denver and Dallas? Think of this for a second. If you're Mike McCarthy, do you rest Dak here? You play in the NFC East. You got pretty much have that wrapped up. Do you rest Dak? I think you do. If it's me, I need Dak's calf completely rested. Why would I play him against Denver? Now, look, I know you're going for home field advantage. But the Dallas Cowboys this week have to make a big decision. Do we play Dak? Do we not play him? Why don't you side on the side of cautiousness? That's what I would do. I need this guy in December, January, and like I said, hopefully February. Russ played well. It gave him another week. I'd put him in there. Let's see what he can do against Denver. Wouldn't that be crazy if this guy goes in there and wins 2 games in a row for the Cowboys? Unbelievable story going on there. Here's the story of 2 teams that were trying to make a trade today with the trading deadline for Deshaun Watson. By the way, the latest on Deshaun Watson, Houston and Miami. It's in Miami, by the way. Here was the latest on Deshaun. The Miami Dolphins had a deal on the table, but they wanted Rusty Hardin and they wanted Deshaun's people to settle some of these suits that were against him with non-disclosures. They were unable to do that before the trading deadline today. And so Miami decided to pass on it, and so did the Texans. And there'll be more people to the table in the offseason, but I think the asking price is going to be a little higher, especially when some of these cases get resolved. Now, here's the thing with this. Is the NFL going to go forward here, not play the kid? Because, again, he's not been suspended in any way. So is the NFL kind of in a pseudo way suspending him? And they're going to count this next year because he didn't play as a suspension? Seems really fishy in how it's been handled. Atlanta, New Orleans. Isn't this crazy? Jameis Winston got hurt and the Saints are favored over Atlanta. And I think Taysom Hill's going to be the starter in this game. That's what I'm assuming. I would call Phillip Rivers. I thought Atlanta had turned it back around again, but Atlanta kind of stumbled last week. They can get their record back to 500 if they beat the Saints, but playing in New Orleans, man, I tell you guys this all the time. Playing in New Orleans is one of the toughest places on the planet. How about the way the Raiders are playing? You know the Raiders are one of the highest seeded AFC teams. Oh, and by the way, all of my top 5 teams are all NFC teams. Isn't that crazy? Giants are a train wreck. You saw them play last night. They just are, man. Daniel Jones can't play. The New York Giants need a quarterback so desperately. How about the way the Patriots in Carolina. Did you hear what Terry Bradshaw said about Sam Darnold, the Carolina quarterback? He's the best quarterback that Carolina's ever had. Really? Really? Better than Cam? Cam won the MVP award. Led a team to a Super Bowl. Jake Delhomme even went to a Super Bowl. And Sam Darnold's the best quarterback they've ever had. I'll tell you this, Bill Parcells. Bill Belichick is coaching his ass off in New England. They're back to 4-4. Buffalo, Jacksonville. I really like that Josh Allen kid. He is some football player, man. They're a good football team. At the end of the day, they'll probably be one of the top 4 teams in the NFL. I say they get to an AFC championship game. Minnesota and Baltimore. Baltimore stumbled. Minnesota did too, though, against the Cowboys. Cooper Rush beat you? Jesus criminy. Man, Mike Zimmer's got to be coaching for his job. Baltimore, too, stumbled, though. I still love Lamar Jackson. Man, what a great football player he is. Chargers and Eagles. It's in Philly. I mean, can you believe? I don't think you can, not believe that Bill Belichick outcoached the first-year coach in Brandon Staley. They just looked awful against the Patriots last week, did the Chargers. I think they probably are going to right the ship there going into Philly. I mean, that quarterback is too good, Justin Herbert. Arizona versus San Fran, that's a big game for the Niners. Niners have to win, man. They have to win. Because I'm going to be one of the guys that is going to start barking this. Dude, Kyle Shanahan, the only reason he's the head coach of the 49ers is because his last name is Shanahan. And his pop is Mike Shanahan. He has an under 500 record. And without Jimmy Garoppolo, it's even worse. When he doesn't have somebody that's good, man, is he terrible. Even when he has Garoppolo, it's just not good. And Arizona's, look, a bad throw has stopped them from being 8-0. Bad throw. They're good, man. They're a good football team. You want to hear something crazy? Tennessee is the number 1 seed as of today. And get this, Derrick Henry's out. That'll change within a month. Guarantee you they won't even be in a conversation for the playoffs. Hey, guys, don't forget, please do me a favor. Get on over to our friends at Hooters in the Valley. If you're there in the Valley in the Phoenix area, please go over and enjoy yourself. It's NASCAR Championship weekend, and it's coming up in Phoenix. Take a picture with the tire installation at your downtown Hooters. Post it on your Instagram and tag Hooters Arizona for 10 free boneless wings when you buy 10 wings. Great time. Make sure you tell them that your boy Sileo sent you. One quarterback that has to be replaced in the NFL. We'll do it next. He did? That's crazy. Youngkin won. Let's see if Fox called it. When's the last time a Republican was the governor of Virginia? Okay. Was it Allen? Cool. But how can a state with more registered Democrat voters lose to a Republican? Both sides. $53.46. I'm not calling that yet. Oh, it is? Has CNN called it? Crazy stuff going on in the election tonight. As Walter Cronkite would say, check your local chronicle. That's when news was news. But hey, who am I? Oh, by the way, I got to tell you just something briefly here. So today on Twitter, it just shows you how people look at Twitter as some sort of like half-ass media source. I had tweeted out a couple days ago about Fletcher Cox. He's just defensive tackle. I'm talking, just giving you the essence of how people look at this and how they make their own narrative. I said, yeah, a couple teams were interested in the defensive tackle from the Eagles, and that's all I said. Well, today, he didn't get moved, but there was a lot of interest in him. Oh, you're such a liar! You said he was being. I go, I never anywhere, and even when you retweet the original tweets, it just shows you people on social media don't care about the truth, folks. They don't care. The mob will make their own truth. What's that famous saying? I guess if you keep telling the lie becomes reality. Holy cow. It really, and I'm going like, what are you reading that I posted on October 28th? What are you talking about? Just, it was another lesson in watching people and how they respond to things on social media. It's crazy. So anyway, listen, I don't like traditionally doing this because, and I will promise you, I will be the first person to say I was completely wrong. And I've said that before in the past about people like Lamar Jackson. I was so wrong about him. A couple of years back when I watched him play in that playoff game against the Chargers, I just thought he was absolutely terrible. I did. I thought he was terrible. And I said he'd be out of the sport in 5 years, right? Next year he comes back, he's the MVP. And he's won like 80% of his ball games since that time when I said that. And I become a massive fan. And somebody will go like this to you. So are you flip-flop? No, I'm just stating a fact that I was wrong. No, you're flip-flop. And I'm like, no. So if you are a person that's on the radio or you're in television, even though you made that prediction and you've been made to be wrong on it, you're supposed to stick to that conviction? You're supposed to stay to that conviction? Or are you supposed to admit, well, I guess that's not how people saw it. My views are completely different than what the masses were. I thought the masses were more on my side. Or am I supposed to stick to my little sandbox? I don't subscribe to that. When I see something and I make a mistake, I just go like this. Hey, man, I'm wrong. That's why you get people on social media doing this. Oh, Jesus, you're all over the place. I go, no, sometimes I'm wrong. I'm not a journalist. I don't know how many times I tell you this. But look, folks, as much as and my wife told me a great story that Baker Mayfield in Cleveland does so many great things for local kids, special needs kids. He's really a good dude. And he does a lot of stuff. He makes sure kids get tickets to Brown games, all these special needs kids. They all get a chance to go to the game and watch the Browns play. And he hand delivers them personally. He brings them there. It's one of his chores during the week. And I really admire that. I love that, man. You can inspire people, especially the needy that need it like that. That's fantastic. And when I'm critical of somebody, it's nothing personal. I learned this lesson a long time ago, in media, because when you make it personal, the people can attack the fact that you've made it personal. For me, it's more so this. He's just not good enough. The Browns need somebody else there as a signal caller. They need somebody else to lead them. So at the end of this year, I'm not giving that guy $42 million. Now, look, if you want to negotiate a different price tag and you want to come down off that, I'm all over it. I'm all over it. Absolutely. All I can tell you is this right now, real quick. In the year we lost Henry Aaron, it's been quite a year for the Atlanta Braves. And I think they're going to get a big surprise when everything is said and done tonight. That is a tremendous organizational win if they're able to close out the Astros tonight. That organization is run top to bottom by some of the best people in baseball, and they get it. They understand it. By the way, I think there's going to be some prizes in the election come tomorrow morning as well. All right, we'll reset. So much going on in sports. You keep it right here on the Dan Sileo Show.